Good morning, everybody. I hope that you can see me and then you can hear me very well and clear. So I am Elisa Baldrighi from CNR IRBIM, and I will chair this conference, this online conference. And then the online conference has been organized in the framework of the project Watercare. So the idea around this event is to involve a student from Italian and Croatian University, and then to let you know not only about the Interreg project Watercare, of course, but also to introduce and make you aware of a widespread ecological problem. And the ecological problem is that of microbial pollution of bathing waters. So briefly, just to let you know what is this kind of ecological problem, that we will talk about in depth about this project just in a few minutes. The microbial pollution is the reason for which you cannot go to the beach and take a bath after a big storm or rainy events. And then I think that happened to everybody, this kind of experience. You go to the beach and you cannot take a bath. Why? Because you are in an emergency situation and there is this microbial pollution event. Before starting, I would like to thank you in advance for attending the conference. And particularly, I would like to thank you, the professor from Italy and Croatian University that accepted to involve students to this event. Only one thing as just practical things. So at the end of each talk, of each presentation, we will have 5 minutes for questions and answers. So don't be shy. Just ask freely if you have question or doubts or whatever. If you don't want to talk, you can write on the chat. Please send a message to everybody so every speaker can see and can read your message, and then we can answer to your questions. Just to remind you, there are no stupid questions, so just feel free to ask, and then we will reply, or hopefully we can reply to your questions. If you have questions, raise your hand. Don't forget to click on the button below of you with the small hands, and then raise your hands, and then we will reply to the question. Just enjoy the conference, and I am pleased to introduce the first speaker of the conference is Professor Antonella Penna from the University of Urbino with the presentation entitled Microbial Contamination, Invisible Threat to Bathing and Coastal Waters. Antonella, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you very much for your introduction. Thank you to everybody to organize this meeting, also to, of course, Croatian partners. This presentation is a sort of introduction of the really activity of the project of Watercare that Elisa after me introduced very well. So I would like to, as your student, I would like to introduce to the topic microbial contamination and the problem related to the pollution of the sea, the coast, and the causes of this contamination and relative problems. Okay, I would like to start as introduction what the Agenda 2030 of the United States established now. Well decided 17 goals to transform our world. What are these goals? These are relatively sustainable development goals, are a sort of international call for action by all countries, poor, rich, and middle, to promote prosperity while protecting the planet, the Earth. This goal recognizes the ending poverty must go hand in hand with the strategies that have to build up economic growth for everybody and address a range of social needs, including education, health, social promotion, protection, job opportunities, by tackling climate change and environmental protection, because we already know that without any activity of safe protection, mitigation, and the anthropogenic pressure, this development is really impossible. So as you see from the list of the panel on the right of the 70 goals that try to transform our world, is a very ambitious activity. I put I highlight the 6 connected to the 14 goal. These are 2 goals: clear water and sanitation, and the 14, life below water, because the strategy of a Watercare project is within two goals. The goal 6 especially, that means ensured availability and sustainable management of water and facility sanitation for everyone. And the goal 14, safe and sustainable use of the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. So, okay. Let's check what happened with the fresh water, with the clean water and sanitation. Why? Because the more the 80% of wastewater produced by human activities is totally discharged into rivers and the seas without any purification systems. We have to think about very poor areas in the world where the wastewater system or plant transformation of wastewater is insufficient or not totally existent. So water shortages and poor quality, together with inadequate sanitation systems, have now a negative impact on food security for agriculture use, livelihood choice, and education opportunity for poor families around the world. Especially, I would like to highlight attention for 2 targets of the goal 6. Within or by 2030, we have absolutely improved water quality by reducing pollution, eliminating dumping, and minimizing release of chemicals, materials, microbial, helping the proportion of untreated wastewater and substantially increasing the recycling and safe reuse globally. And this target 6.5 say that we have to implement integrated water resources management at all levels, including through transboundary cooperation as appropriate. So countries have to talk each other, as we already now is doing between this project, between Italy and Croatia. The other goals, the 14, life below water. What happens? The pollution problem is over your seas, over your eyes, sorry, all days, every days. About the 14% of the world's oceans are heavily influenced by human activity, by strong anthropogenic pressures, the impact of which includes pollution, microbial discharge, the depletion of fish stocks, fishery, and loss of natural habitats along the coast. And the goal 14 takes into consideration safe and sustainable use of the ocean, seas, and all marine resources for our future, for the global our futures, for the fundamental resources that are the basis of a sustainable future. So the target of this goal are within 2025, which are right 4 years, we have to prevent any significant marine pollution or try to reduce any significant marine pollution, any kind of pollution that came from land-based activity, including marine debris, plastics, nutrient and microbial pollution. Already now, by 2020, we have an assessment or management to protect marine and coastal ecosystem try to avoid any significant pollution impact, to permit, to allow the resilience of ecosystem, coastal ecosystem, take action for their restoration in order to achieve healthy and productive oceans. Right now, we have to save, preserve at least 10% of coastal and marine seas, consistent with the law regulatory by nation and international laws, based on the best available, of course, scientific information. Linked to this goal, I would like just to introduce the concept of a natural capital and ecosystem services that came on to the sustainability of activity, of anthropogenic activity. The concept of ecosystem services is increasing rapidly now because it's used to attribute any values to natural system and multiple advantages they provide to our societies now. Because our economic prosperity and well-being depend on natural capital, including all ecosystem services that provide. That means essential goods and services as fish that you can eat, fishery, aquaculture, productive sea, tourism in the summer, navigation for tourism and commercial, pipelines and deep extraction. But these services, the function of ecosystem is that guarantee goods and services is also defined in monetary terms some years ago by 1997 by Costanza. And now is urgent to know that by protecting biodiversity at the sea, we can resist to climate change. That is very, very important, this assumption. So go to the problem. Coastal pollution is mainly due to eutrophication by nutrient discharge and microbial pollution by wastewater, urban wastewater discharge mainly. So this kind of pollution involve the system of activities of towns, cities, industry and agriculture. The consequence of inadequate wastewater discharge involve the public health with bathing and aquaculture services, the environmental integrity with eutrophication by excessive of nutrient loads, and consequently ecosystem services, the economic impact on tourism and fishery, biological resources. Very, very short, what is for the student, which is the eutrophication? Eutrophication is substantially a degenerative process of water that was caused by excessive inputs of eutrophic substances with a fertilizing effect as the nitrogen, phosphorus, other phytostimulating substances that are transported to the sea by rivers and coastal settlements. So the release of nitrogen and phosphorus into the system, the coastal system, and general environment, coastal environment, derive from point sources, are carried out by wastewater treatment discharges, by industrial processes, and also aquaculture and mariculture plants activities, or from generally diffuse sources, runoff from agriculture, land, and emission from transport. So all these systems bring up the coastal system or the sea to be eutrophic, generating high proliferation of algal biomass that at the end consists of the generation of processes of poor quality of water by depleting oxygen. And this phenomenon, this degenerative process of eutrophication is really treated by the marine strategy. It represents the descriptor 5 in the marine strategy frame directive. that because eutrophication of human origin have to be minimized because of loss of biodiversity, ecosystem degradation, harmful algal blooms, and oxygen deficiency in the bottom. So to preserve productivity and fish in the Adriatic Sea, we have to adopt measures that have to reduce the loads of eutrophication substances, substantially nitrogen from agrozootechnical sector, and phosphorus from civil sector. And this activity is treated also in the Water Frame Directive from 2000. Now go deep to the microbial pollution from wastewater and bathing. The causes of microbial pollution are the abnormal episodes of rainfall. Right now, the climate change is changing, so we are in front of a high episode of intense episode of rainfall, and this abnormal episode of rainfall active don't not permit to good functioning of a system of urban sewage, so activate spillways and bypass purifiers. So we don't have inadequate facilities and collection system to take the wastewater, urban wastewater. So we have a sort of contribution of urban wastewater that is not really regulated. So we have any microbiological parameters, Escherichia coli, intestinal enterococcus, that are indicator of fecal contamination. They can go on to the sea from rivers, and this represents the risk of contracted disease associated with bathing. These are really sanitary risks. But anyway, these problems are already tried to solve by many directives from 1991, from the Urban Wastewater, Water Frame Directive, Bathing Water Frame Directive. But anyway, the climate change has also changed the system of wastewater, urban wastewater. So in this context, Watercare project try to solve this inadequate system of sewage in pilot sites from Italy and Croatian sites. So here are shown the sampling point of Watercare activity that Elisa explained better afterwards. But just to explain how also a small town as Fano has this urgent problem of spill out of urban wastewater that are not really regulated. These are the grid by the sea of sampling of the river out that came from here. So this is the represented area of bathing, and is many times per summer is compromised by the sewage of microbial pollution. And these points are the main 2 points of sampling or river water by Watercare. This is a complex system of complex logistic and monitoring system of monitoring river and seawater after the river discharge, after the high rainfall events during the summer bathing season. Again, the complex grid of sampling, we are following the microbial discharge as well as other chemical indicator as nitrogen, phosphate, suspended solids, and other physical parameters. This is the sewage, the spill out of Infano at the sea, by the sea. Sorry. And these are listed the determination and analysis of microbial and chemical parameters that are joined together for ecological compromission of the ecosystem, coastal ecosystem, And chemical try to also provide indication of the origin of microbial pollution that came from mainly city and also for agriculture activity. So I think I finished my contribution, and I'm here for some question, if any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonella, for your presentation. And I don't know, we have 5 minutes for questions. If you want, we are more or less on time. If there are some questions, please raise your hands or write in the chat. We will have a bunch of minutes also at the end of the conference, sorry, for reply to your question.
I try, Elisa, I already say that the technical data of Watercare are illustrated by you afterwards.
Yeah, of course, we will go in depth into the Watercare project and then talk about the sampling strategy and then the QAS system and then whatever. Yes, sure.
Maybe some question, how
yes.
the results of the monitoring are used by the municipality. The results are represented by this water quality integrated system and also the model of prevision of microbial pollution. This to get joined together will consist of governance, because we also write the guidelines for the local administration and regional administration. And we also built up a sort of alert based on rainfall and on hypothetical loads that can be running away to the coast. And so this constitutes an alert for the municipality that only for very short period can block or can stop the bathing. So it's the system that create an alert system to the municipality that assess afterwards the bathing activity. But the important with this project that the water quality integrated system provide only few days of forbidden bathing period against more or less 6 or 10 days of forbidden area that is going on as well.
Thank you very much, Antonella. I think that we can move on to the next presentation. Thank you very much for your contribution. The next presentation, for the next presentation, I will actually introduce myself and then my colleague Pierluigi Penna from IRBIM CNR. So the title is Watercare Project, Thinking to an Innovative Methodological Approach to Improve the Bathing Water Management. So I will share my screen. Yes. So yeah. I hope that you can see. Okay. Yeah. So here we are. So I will go with my presentation. I will go a little bit more in depth to the project, to the Watercare project. So the Watercare project is a 3-year project, and then it involves 10 different partners from Croatia and Italy. So 5 partners from Italy, and there is the my Institute of Research, IRBIM CNR from Ancona, that is the lead partner, and then we have the ASET from Fano, Marche region, and the Abruzzo region, and the University of Urbino. And then we have 5 partners from Croatia. We have the county of Split, Dalmatia, and then we have the Dubrovnik and Neretva region, the University of Split, the Metres Research Center, and then Croatian Waters. And then these 10 partners are all involved and working for three common goals, three common objectives to solve one crucial problem. And the crucial problem is the problem that before Professor Antonella Penna clearly explained to you, extensively explained to you. So the problem is that more than 80% of wastewaters derived from human activities are discharged into the rivers or seas without an adequate purification system. And then in recent years also, the problem has been exacerbated by strong, massive rain events that are causing floods of rivers and streams, with relevant consequence of the environment. And is thought that these rainy events are caused by climate change. And the consequence of the environment is that mostly are negative effects on the quality of the bathing water and coastal waters. So the main goals of water care are three, as I say to you. So the first one is to develop an innovative water quality integrated systems and a real-time alert system to preventively identify the potential ecological risk derived from fecal contamination of waters. I know there are difficult words, but in a few minutes, my colleague will explain to you what is the water quality integrative system and real-time alert system. Just take this word in mind for the moment. And that for the second, as a second goal is to improve the quality of bathing and coastal waters through a reduction of microbial contamination that derive from sewerage system. And last but not least, and is the most challenging goal that we have in our project, is to support the decision-making process of governance for bathing water management, and of course in accordance with EU directive. And then I will leave the floor to my colleague Pierluigi that will explain to you the water quality integrated system.
Thank you, Elisa. It's just a technical switch. Good morning to everybody. I'm Pierluigi Penna from CNR IRBIM Ancona, and I want to show you some technical detail of the water quality integrated system. First of all, we can define the WQIS an IT ecosystem, so an information technology ecosystem, where some activity is automatic and other are semi-automatic. We will see in the next slide. The WQIS is composed by some subsystem. For example, a real-time monitoring system, an automatic refrigerated river water sampler, a forecast operational model coupled with the dispersion diffusion models, also some decay equation that link the decay rate with the ultraviolet ray and the action of the salt water to the life cycle of the coliforms, and at least a real-time alert tool. This is a conceptual schema of all the system. As you speak before, we have some automatic procedures. For example, a real-time data acquisition system for meteo and multi-parametric probe real-time sampling. Also for the pilot site of Fano, also the river water level, and also some other ancillary environmental data. Other activity, for example, automatic freshwater assembly for microbiology analysis and chemical analysis, also the seawater feed sampling, are this data coming from this sampling are manually put into the database after the laboratory analysis. All this information are collected by a MySQL database, and data are presented to a website, and also this data are the input for the forecast operational model. That and at the end the alert tool provide some notification for the system status. This is an example for the script that we use to insert data on the database after the laboratory analysis. This picture shows the web data presentation. This is used for all the Watercare site. So for every site, we have a dedicated web presentation. This is another screenshot where is present also the forecast operational model. In this case, we have the temperature, salinity, and Escherichia coli forecast. This is the base for our tool. We have to use a correspondence relationship between the event that start and trigger the notification and the actors of the WQIS, for example, decision makers, water manager, and so on. So every event is linked with the actors that we have to notify this kind of information. This is, an example of the email notification. In this case, the rain is over a threshold that we fix, and this can reply to the question that Antonella Penna replied before. This is a kind of notification for the stakeholder that know that in half a day the conditions are restored. So we have to decide to close in spatial and temporal scale. We have information to reduce this period of ban for the bathing water, and this is the location of the Watercare site, and I can leave the floor to Elisa.
Thank you very much, Pierluigi, for your explanation of the water quality integrated system. So for this project, we selected 5 sampling sites, 3 sampling sites on the Croatian border, on the Croatian coast, along the Croatian coast, and 2 sampling sites along the Italian coast. And among these 2 sampling sites along the Italian coast, we have the Fano that constitute the pilot site for this project. So as you can see in these slides, and also Antonella Penna showed these slides before, is these slides show you how we collecting the sample and then the sampling strategy, let's say like this, that we adopted for the pilot sampling site. So we have the Arzilla River that flow directly into the sea. And so we place 2 monitoring stations, one at the Arzilla upstream and one at the Arzilla mouth. In these 2 monitoring stations, we have automatic samplers to collect water from the river, and then here into the sea we placed this grid of station to collect samples from seawater, according to a precise sampling strategy that we'll explain in a few minutes to you. So there is a reason for the placement of this station into the sea, and the red grid that you can see here is a high resolution grid realized by the model. Is that by the model? Sorry, is it correct, Pierluigi? Yeah. So I can go through this slide. So here are some pictures from the monitoring station at the Arzilla mouth. Here is the automatic sampler, is the avalanche. With this automatic sampler, we can collect samples in real time during and after the rain event. We can control remotely this automatic sampler. We can decide when heat has to collect the water sample. The automatic sample is placed in this, let's say, box, As you can see, these beautiful design, these beautiful drawers are being realized by a art school from Fano that took part to a project, art and science, let's say this, and they realized these beautiful drawers for us, and to make beautiful this box in which we place the automatic sampler, and the same the same automatic systems is also in the Arzilla upstreams with the same purpose, to collect automatically and remotely freshwater samples from the river during and after a rainy event. And then here you can see the sampling strategy to collect samples from the sea. The area of the sea is placed exactly in front of the Arzilla River, and from the sampling for the collection of seawater sampling, we decide to let's say to realize a sampling grid. This sampling grid is made of 3 transects, and each transit along each transect we have from 3 to 5 stations placed at increasing distance from the shore. And these sampling strategies has been realized according to the morphology of the sites. That's very important, because as you can notice on the right, you have a pier, and then in front you have artificial reef. So according to this morphology, according to currents, we thought that was a good sampling strategy to collect samples. And then the temporal scale of sampling collection is approximately every 6 hours, 12 hours, and 24 hours after the rainy event. But the temporal scale is modified every time according to let's say the nature of the event, if it is a strong rain event or moderate rain event. Here below, you can see some pictures. So on the left side, you see pictures of collection of freshwater sample from the river. And then here there is our amazing boat that we use to collect the seawater samples. And then the seawater samples and the freshwater samples that we collect are used to evaluate the concentration of nutrients and microbial contamination into the water. And then here you can see some preliminary results. This is the output that you can have from monitoring data. So as you can see, you have microbial data and nutrients data after a strong rainfall event. So the rain event is here indicated with light blue lines. Immediately after, you have a peak in Escherichia coli and Enterococci, along with a peak in nutrients. So, and then there is a close relation between nutrients and FIB concentration. Here, in this slide, you can see the output of the model after the rain events. So as you can see, compared to the output that you can have with monitoring data, the model can describe the distribution of Escherichia coli with a greater time and a greater spatial resolution than the monitoring data. So with the model, with the output of the model of distribution Escherichia coli, you can see the spread of the Escherichia coli a long time, so after 6-hour intervals, and you can see the duration of the contamination of Escherichia coli from the sea to from the river, sorry, into the water, and along the bathing water, of course. And here you can see the output of the model, but applied to the 5 different sampling sites along the Italian and the Croatian waters. As you can notice, on the for the Italian side, for the Italian sampling site, you can see that the plume is the plume of contaminated waters from the river into the sea, contaminated water by the presence of Escherichia coli, as the plume is constrained by the presence of artificial reefs in front of the beach. The artificial reefs have been built to protect the beach from the erosion, but from the microbial dispersion are really negative, because because the plume is constrained constrained along the water, along the coastal area. So the plume with contaminated water cannot disperse into the water. So it's constrained along the bathing water. And we completely have a different scenario if we have a look to the output of the model along the Croatian water. Along the Croatian water, in the 3 sampling sites, we don't have this artificial reef, so the plume of contaminated water coming from the river is immediately there is an immediate dispersion into the sea, and so we don't have a microbial pollution that reach the bathing water. And in these slides, I just would like to show you the second sampling sites along the second Italian sampling sites in Pescara. This sampling site is now ready to start collecting samples also, and the site, as you can see, the sampling strategies is more or less the same, because the morphology that we have in Pescara is more or less the same to the morphology that we have in Fano. So still we have some transects with station placed at an increasing distance from shore, and you have a monitoring station along the river. That's all for this presentation, and thank you for listening. If there is a couple of minutes for questions. Yeah, I think that we have some chat in the question. Also, we have 2 questions in the chat. I was reading, sorry. The first question is, can you explain to students the importance of involving the school students into the project with art and science activity? So there is an important part of the project, is an aspect that involves all project, Interact project and European project, that is the communication side. So try to explain what we are doing to students is an important point to fill the gap between what we are doing, what we do as researchers, and the common public. Is just to spread knowledges and then to make aware people of a problem that also touch the normal public, that is the microbial pollution. And just to let you know why, when you go to the beach at a certain point, you see the panel that why you cannot take a bath. So why you cannot enjoy the beach, but because there is this problem. So it's important to make aware of people of this and try to explain to the students which is the cause of this problem, at the basis of this problem. And with the project of with the Art School, we ask to the student to, let's say, think how to represent this problem through the art. So we try to reach the students in a art school, students that are doing something completely different from research and from science, and try to feed and to filter this problematic through art. And then that they realize these beautiful panels that really make the box beautiful, and then at the Fano sampling station. And then I think that there is a second question. Can you explain to students the health consequence of Escherichia coli contamination? So the health consequence is that if you take a bath during a microbial pollution alert, you can have several diseases. So you can have disease on your skin, you can have disease on your eyes, and then you can have diarrhea. So you can have a problem with your belly, and then you can have serious health problems, starting from problem with eyes and skin to diarrheic disease. So you can feel really, really bad if you take a bath and then if you drink water contaminated by Escherichia coli and Enterococci. So I cannot see any other question on the chat. I think that we can move to the next presentation. So the next presentation is by Professor Marin Ordulj from University of Split. And the presentation is the effect of precipitation on the bathing water quality and at the area under the anthropogenic impacts. Marin, I will give you the floor.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Let me just turn on the camera so people can see me. Oh, I apologize. Come on. Just a moment. I lost my Zoom controls. Where are they? I don't know why. Ah, okay. Let me just. There I am. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to have you rounded up here at such a big number. Let me just share my screen. And I will be telling you something about the effect of the precipitation on bathing water quality, which is at the area under the anthropogenic impact, so the area where we live and that we are trying to do. So inside or during the Watercare project, my department of marine studies, which belongs to the University of Split, was trying to solve problems which are connected with the water care. So we were trying to see if there is any effect of high rain events and do they change the quality of bathing waters, which we are all using during the summer. So let me just briefly tell you what's it all about. So the monitoring of coastal bathing waters is rather important. It's all regulated by the European Parliament and by the Bathing Water Directive, which was first published in 2006, and all the member states really absorbed that bathing water directive and started using it to monitor the recreational waters, whether those are the marine waters or the inland waters. So the monitoring is really important to protect the human health. I noticed that there was one question about E. coli, which is indicator bacteria, but besides the E. coli, there can be many more pathogenic bacteria that can cause some serious illnesses. So it is also the aim of this bathing water directive to protect and improve the quality of marine environment, which we are all trying to do because we are now living more extensively on the shores and impacting those shores. So we are monitoring the E. coli or Escherichia coli concentrations and concentrations of enterococci, which are the most abundant bacteria in our digestive system. So we call those bacteria the fecal indicator bacteria, or the FIBs. The main goal of this project, or especially the part that we've been doing, was to see how the concentration of FIBs is changing in the environment. So those concentrations can change due to the anthropogenic impact. For example, you can have a short pollution event, which can happen in sometimes, especially in the urban areas, and it can change due to the environmental factors such as temperature, salinity, pH, or UV, ultraviolet radiation, and of course precipitation or the rain. So we wanted to examine whether the precipitation is the most responsible for the change in the bathing water quality in urban and suburban areas, which are under the anthropogenic impact. There is a bit of problem in the bathing water directive, which says that you don't need to pick up the samples, monitoring samples during the rain, but during the summer, people don't care about the rain because then it's also nice and maybe a little bit romantic to swim when it's raining. But that rain can wash up bacteria and dirt from the city areas and just transfer it to the sea, and those bacteria can be distributed by currents or wind. So another thing what we were trying to see is whether the Staphylococcus aureus could be a great additional parameter for microbiological pollution, because that's an opportunistic bacteria that live on us. So just to give you the perspective, so you know the sites of the Watercare system, and this is the site where we've been doing some research. So you can see here, this is Kaštela Bay and the city of Split, which is the second largest city in Croatia. And you have a really nice bay here, which is heavily, well, not heavily anymore, but it is polluted because the secondary sewage system is still not being done. It's going to be in 2 years. It's going to be finished. So I'm going to be out of job. I don't know what I'm going to do when everything is done. But so we compared, we've been trying to see whether the rain can change the bathing water quality. There are some nice beaches here, and there are some really nice beaches in the city of Split, which is strange that you can swim on the shores of the second largest city in one country. I'm just going to give you the results for the first year of our research, because the second year is just being put together. So, but I can just give you some preliminary results. So we did 18 sampling campaigns between June and October. The corona moved us a little bit, so we couldn't pick up the May, and October is the end of monitoring sampling. So we picked up the most of the bathing season. We chose 11 sampling sites and did some 198 water samples where we determined the concentration of FIBs. We also monitored some meteorological data and temperature, salinity, and pH of marine water at the 11 sites. So we also were trying to catch the rain events and sample 24 hours or in the 24 hours after the rain event, 48 hours after that rain event, and 96 hours, just to see how the concentration of FIBs is changing. And we did 6 standard monitoring campaigns when we didn't catch any rain. So you can see that last summer was rather hot and warm with just 4 short rain events. And here are the results of the first year. So as you can see, this I'm just telling you. So this was the control station or the reference station, which is outside of all the settlements, and you just have the pure coastline, with beautiful turquoise sea in front of it. So here we have stations in Kaštela Bay where there is still some problems with the secondary sewer system, and here you have stations in front of the city of Split. So you can see the difference, that there have been some problems near the Trogir stations and near the Kaštel Sučura stations, and maybe here also at Vranjic. And you can clearly see that the concentration of both E. coli and intestinal cocci are really low at the reference station, and of course at all those beach sites in front of the city of Split. So these are based on the 90th and the 95th percentile. So when you check all the stations, you can see clearly that those 3 stations are passing the satisfactory line, or 300 E. coli in total. So we are, I'm talking about the yearly results, not per each sample, and by intestinal enterococci also. So these 3 stations could be considered as not good or polluted in microbiological terms.
Marin, sorry, Marin,
yeah.
to interrupt you. Could you please share your presentation in full screen modality, because we can see 2 slides at the same time. I'm really sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, let me just see. What seems to be the problem? I'm showing it in. Okay, so you can see the.
Yeah, that's fine now.
Duplicate. Is this okay?
Yeah, now it's okay.
No, oh, sorry, I apologize, because I was using the presenter view also. Yeah, I apologize.
It's perfect now. Thank you, Marin.
Yeah, sorry. So the problem with these 2 differences, tell me if I need to repeat something later on, is in the secondary sewer system. So you can see clearly that the Split area has really well solved the secondary sewer system, so there are some occasional pollution events, and these 2 areas are just taking care of the secondary sewer system, which collects all the sewage from the factories, from houses, and pushes it into the treatment plant. And both these areas, so this is Split area, Solin area, Castel area, and Trogir area, are discharging its sewer into the channel in front of it in a deep marine environment, so below the 42 meters, so it doesn't come up to the surface. So that's how we solve the problem. So I'm going to tell you something about the effect of precipitation. As you can see, I marked here the rain events that we had, and these are the results after every sampling. So you can see clearly that in Trogir area, there isn't any correlation with the precipitation event that happened here. So the next day we should have elevated concentrations of E. coli and intestinal cocci or the FIBS. Also here during the summer, you don't see some problems, and later on we can see some occasional pollution events. But we cannot connect that with the rain, and I'm going to show you the results of some analysis later on. Also, you can see that the concentration of FIBS is changing, but not due to the rain, because there are some also sweetwater streams that can catch some polluted waters, but they don't pose any problem. We noticed here in this site that there is a problem just because the secondary sewage system is still not being taken care of. That process is underway and should be done in a year or 2 years max. And also you can see here in Vranic area, which is the area where the commercial ports are, and there is a lot of industry there. You can see some occasional pollution events, but mostly we are talking about microbiologically clean sea. The problem is, especially here in Trogir, this Pantan area is ornithological ecological protected reserve. So you can see with currents, for example, if you have short pollution, microbiological pollution, the currents can take that polluted waters to the protected areas. You can see it at the 1st of September 2020 when that happened, and of course later on 23rd of September when that happened. So we really need to take care about that. So what about the SRLs? There have been many research about this, whether the concentrations of Staphylococcus aureus should be considered as a good pollution indicator. And you can clearly see that we found the elevated concentrations of S. aureus where we found the elevated concentration of FIBS. So the first conclusion would be that we can take it into the consideration and maybe use it as a good parameter to describe the pollution. But definitely the second year, the results of the second year showed us differently. The S. aureus is coming from the same sources as FIBS, but they are also coming from the batters, because there is something that it's called batter shedding. So we are shedding those bacteria while we are batting, and you can check that somewhere at some stations which are popular beaches in the Split area. Let me tell you something about the correlations. So you can see that all the bacteria correlated negatively with the salinity, which tells us that they are coming from the same sources of sewage, which are sometimes causing the short-term pollution. Also, we didn't find any correlation with the rain. So at this part of the Adriatic, we don't have that kind of problem, because the coastline topography of the coast is not so similar as the topography of the Italian coast. I was trying to construct the research to mimic some problems that our neighboring country has, but we couldn't find the effect of rain that can elevate the concentration of FIBS. So these are some preliminary results from 2021 research, and you can see the same story again. I'm using the logarithms of CFUs here, and you can see that concentrations of E. coli and intestinal cocci are higher in the Castel area, and of course lower or the similar as in the reference station and those stations where the secondary sewage system is done. So to end up, I can tell you that low levels of precipitations definitely do not have a significant effect on the bottom water quality. So this year we've been trying to catch the higher precipitations levels, and we did that, and also showed no correlation between the fibs and Escherichia coli and with the rain and fibs. So we should definitely work on controlling the potential legal sewage outfalls. And we are doing that by creating the secondary sewage network. And the completion for this area is expected in 2023. And Staphylococcus aureus is probably originating from the same sources as fibs, and it could be considered to use as a relevant indicator, but definitely this subject needs a bit more studies in the future, because we can take the really problematic conclusions with this, so we need to work a little bit more on that. And at the end, I would like to thank my colleagues, Maja Krželj, which is the project lead of this part, Matea Barano, which was working mostly picking up all the samples and processing them. And thank you for listening to me. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Marin. There are a couple of questions for you. I think that you can see them on the chat.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So can you give the students an idea of costs associated with this kind of monitoring activities? Okay, the costs can be high, especially. So let's take it like this. In Croatia, our regulation tells us to pick 10 samples during the budding season. So the sampling starts from May and ends in October. So there is, I'm not sure how many points. I think we have 900, close to 1,000 points that we are monitoring. And Italy has around 4,000. So you need to take at least 10 samples. In Italy, I think you take 4 samples during the budding season, and that's the minimum regulated by the Budding Water Directive. So it costs, and it's around, I can give you the precise number, amount in euro, but it costs. But it needs to tell you why are you paying this. So we are paying this to protect our health and, of course, to improve the quality of the environment. Hope I answered that. You can always email me to get a little bit more answers. What are the differences in topography, explaining differences between Italy and Croatia? Okay, so first we have karstic environment here. So it's mostly rocky shores, and the waters, especially the rain, penetrates deeply into the land, so it's not accumulated on top. On the Italian side of the Adriatic, the water accumulates because the top is covered with soil that keeps the water on top and picks all the dirt and washes it by the rivers. Another difference, a big difference, is the currents of the Croatian part of the Adriatic, which go from the south to the north. And of course, in Italy, you have a different kind of land because the river Po is bringing all the material further to the south. So we have more clear sea, the better circulation, and the sewage or the rivers that discharge in the Adriatic on the Italian side, they accumulate, they bring more material which can help E. coli and intestinal cocci stay longer in the marine environment. So there are some differences that we need to take into the consideration, and that's why we don't have the effect of the rain, and that's why in Croatian regulation the rain is not taken into the account, because we just don't have, we just have some short pollution events, and those are not connected with the rain.
Thank you very much, Marin, for your presentation, for answer to the question. I think that yeah, we can move to the last presentation of this conference. Is from Martin Bućan from Split Dalmatia County, and the presentation is Smart System to Support Governance Decision Processes in Water Management of Adriatic Basin. Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a minute. Let's see. It's need time a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay.
So, I'm waiting the presentation. My colleagues on the left side of me is Katarina Sciutta and also Mr. Josip Matas. All of us we are coming from the county of Split and Dalmatia, from the Department of the Economics, EU Fair and EU Funds and Agriculture. So we are public government local body, and we are very interested to be in this strong cooperation between Croatia and Italy. It is very necessary for us to know how doing this, what is we are charged. It is work package 5. It is the smart system to support government's decision procedure in the water management of the Adriatic Basin. So this VP5, the main objective is to provide an integrated and smart Watercare decision process system to help the responsible authority and stakeholders, operators of the facilities and tourist service, swimmers and bathers, and also etc., to improve the management of urban water area through the smart system of the support to the control of meteorological, bacterial load and discharge of the overflow sewerage network. The main goals are realization activity 5.1 and validation activity 5.2 of the alert tool of the bathing water management, and also development of the innovative policy action on coastal water management to respect VFD directive. So,
Martin,
yes.
sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There is a message in the chat to say that we don't hear well. So maybe you can raise a little bit your microphone.
Okay, I will be closer because I make the hybrid, the computer and also my cell phone.
Okay, thank you.
Is it better now?
I think yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the VP5 main output are the real-time alert system of sewage water quality and the flow rate into the sea, as well the fecal bacterial dispersion in coastal water to identify the potential ecological risk in the bathing water due to the high unusual local riverine floods caused by high rainfalls and under climate anomaly. As indicator of the progress, we will consider a number of 300 feedbacks from the stakeholders in the response of the alert system. The final governance model refers to process of decision-making involved in the control and the management of the quality of the bathing waters in the relation also in the real-time alert system. Development of the guidelines for the smart system to support governments for the bathing water, policy action in the coastal area, coastal waters management to the respect VFD directive. So on this slide you can see the reporting smart system, and which is based on information acquired by analysis of the microbiological and environmental parameters, and also it's agreed and adopted by the actions 3.2 and action 3.3, where involved all partners, and by the outputs of the Watercare quiz, work package 3 and work package 5 in the pilot and the target area. So VP5 activity are necessary to improve the water management of the urban area through the warning of environmental protection authorities in order to avoid and reduce the level of the water bacterial contamination in the sea deriving by high rainfalls on the local rivers and riverine, as well as to limit the days when is it forbidden to bath in the beach. Development of the innovative tool, which with a smart system to support government's decision procedure, would allow the improving water quality, microbiological and healthy, and design the new rules in order to set up an adapted management system if contamination exists. Improvement the methods are proposed of the optimizing the assessment of the risk incurred by aquatic environments through the validation of the innovative bacteriological analysis tools for the risk of the fecal contamination. So on this slide, you can see who is the charge. We are for the work package 5. CNR will be responsible for the realization of the alert tool for the bathing water, the management system in collaboration with the whole partnership. UniURB will be responsible for the validation of the alert tool system in collaboration with the whole partnership, and also at the end the Regione Marche in collaboration with Abruzzo, County of Split and Dalmatia, Dubrovnik-Neretva County, and Croatian Waters will release the final government's guidelines. So you can see how we are collecting all the information. This activity aims to realization a real-time alert system to provide forecasting parameters to several hours ahead, able to preventively identify the potential ecological risk from the fecal contamination of the bathing water due to high to access the contamination status of waters. Basing of this advice reported in the real-time alert system, all relevant stakeholders will be able to apply and all the actions need to reduce the bacterial load content in the water released by the water treatment plant. So in the order to test and validate the alert tool system, some predicted simulation will be realized defining threshold limits based on the regulation defined competent authorities and stakeholders. This simulation consists in enforcing the threshold limits using the set of the data of the different environmental and biological concentration in order to verify the correct response of the alert tool. You see the pilot site is from the Croatian side, Cetina and Neretva River, and in Istria is near the Pula, Rascia River, and also Argila in Regione Marche, and also Pescara River in Regione Abruzzo. So make over the link of the forest casting model will be needed to verify the adaptation of the different conditions. Once the alert tool is operational and the procedure defined, it will be applicable to the real-time data. So 3 simulations will be done in each of these 5 sites in order to validate the alert tool, and consequently send the right communication to complete competent authorities and the stakeholders. After the validation through the and sewage simulation, the final version of the alert tool for the bathing water management will be released. So this is just the set of the parameters in the validation process are grouped in the 3 categories: water levels, water temperature and salinity, microbiological fecal bacteria and interstitial enterococci concentration, and you'll see the parameters performing of simulation of the validation of the alert tool for the that pilot site. This is some of hydrological data that you already mentioned, Pierluigi, also Marin. And this is from the site of Russia River and Pescara, I suppose. And this is the hydrological data and microbiological. And at the end, activity 5.3 is policy action of the coastal waters management to respect VFD and MSFD responsible regional market for this package is EU legislative and policy requires the impact of pressure of the transnational coastal and fresh water be significantly reduced. VFD directive aimed to good status for all ground and surface waters, rivers, lakes, transnational waters, and the coastal waters in the EU. And the Marine Strategy Framework Directive was put into place to protect the marine ecosystem and biodiversity upon which our health and marine-related economic and social activities depend. MSFD required each member state to develop a strategy for its marine waters in order to achieve good environmental status. So this is at the end which partners are involved collect the aspects from technical, legal, political, and financial, and government's guidelines, and everything to improve at the end the better management of the water treatment and water courses. So thank you for attention. This is the last picture and the last slide of my presentation. So if you have any question for this, I will be glad to answer if I know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin, for your presentation. Is there any question for Martin? You can also write. Okay, yes. There is a question for you, Martin. I don't know if you can see it on the chat.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Please, can you reply?
So the validation of this system is we are charged for whole work package 5, and maybe Pierluigi is here. Maybe he can answer about validation of the other tool. It's collecting the data. If after we finish the sampling, the results are validate how many time we need to the information are collected and sent to the government, and also sent to the other partners that they are involved to see the quality of the water for the bathing. So it will be just check on the 3 times to validate all that system.
Yes. Yeah, you can reply, Pierluigi. Yes.
So according to the other tool, we have two types of validation. One validation is purely for information technology aspect. So before in my presentation, we saw the relationship between events and the actor. So this kind of validation was finished and tested for all the Watercare sites. The second one is the validation on field. So if the forecast operational model can make a provision for the temperature, salinity, oxygen, and other oceanographic variable, the field sampling was compared with the forecast of the model. The last one is a big issue that we are working on is the forecast of the concentration of coliforms. So the road we are performing this with joining with Christian Ferrarin from Cinero Venice. We are working on I think 2 or 3 scenarios, so we can fix because we don't know before the real concentration of coliforms. So according to the study of the 2 or 3 years, we know the normal status of the river. So we can put this value of the concentration of Escherichia coli and coliform, put into the model, join with other oceanographic and real-time parameters, and we will see what happened for the forecast, and make also a comparison with the field value. So we have 2 kind of validation for the other tool. I hope that I explained the status, because it's still work in progress.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pierluigi, for your explanation. Is there another question? I can see. It's just to wrap up and end this conference. I can see one question on the chat where the student can find the record of the conference. So you can find the record of this conference on the website of Watercare project. Is watercare.eu. So it is the web page, and then you will find the recorded conference there, not immediately, but soon, very soon. And then I put in the chat the title of a special issue that we are populating with nice papers that is coming out from the first preliminary results that we are obtaining from the project. The special issue is on the journal Water, MDPI journal, and the title is The Impact of Treated Urban Wastewaters and Flood Discharge on the Quality of Bathing Waters. You can find it on the chat, or you can email me. Yeah, my camera is on. I think that you can see me. I hope that you can see me. And then and also you can email me and other colleagues that made the oral talk to, if you have any further questions or whatever. So thank you very much for enjoying this meeting, this conference. And then I think that we have more than 100 students, 150, we reached a peak of 150 students. So I'm really happy for this. And then if I remember well, we have students from Italy, from the University of Urbino, Ancona and Bologna. And then from Croatian side, we have students from Split University. And I think from another university, if some colleague from Croatian can help me in reminding.
From Istria.
As just
Istrian University in Pula. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much for your participation. If someone wants to add other comments or I don't know, whatever, or otherwise we can just hand the conference here. I have a request. Can we all turn on camera to make pictures? Could you please turn on the camera? Non so se riescono. Come fa? Ah. Oh yeah, only panelists can do that. So okay, so maybe the panelists can turn on the camera and then we can take a pictures. Okay.
Can we see the students?
Who is taking the pictures?
I will take one.
Okay.
Oh, I missed the button. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, print screen. Now smile. Put your bellies in. Okay, done.
Thank you, Marin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marin.
So thank you all again, and then enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you soon. I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you to all
Yeah,
the team.
see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.